Good morning. Good morning, Sunday morning from Montana. I always say good morning, but I know that you are also watching this from all over the world in different time zones. So just know that that's the most natural way for me to say hello to you. so I'm coming to you today a little tender. Well, you can see when I started at 10:05 as opposed to 10 that there's something going on, right? Because there's been some family interactions that have stirred me, both beautiful, challenging, and everything that they're meant to be. It makes sense, right? So maybe you've had something similar. Maybe it's that kind of week that reminds you that just how sensitive, right? And how our systems really are. So I thought about this and I got out the light seers because it sort of feels like this. It's like I'm integrating a whole lot of things and I'm in a very quiet mood. I'm not my gregarious sort of usual self. And yet there's a really big message that I want to pass on to you. So um, today, maybe instead of pushing through, maybe we slow down. Maybe we listen. Maybe we're going to explore something different. And I want to talk today about your energy system. How do we explore our energy system? So let's just take a deep breath. Maybe put your feet on the ground, straighten your neck and your back, get your back supported. Take a deep breath and let's begin this together. So first and foremost, the solar flares have been a little eh, different than they have been for the last month. They've been hanging out mostly at a C3 to C4, which is like again that tap 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 tap, right? And towards the end of the week, it started to get into M1s, which it goes from tap tap to a little bit of a um, tower moment, a little bit of crumbling, like, no, get rid of that. No, put that down. No, stop. And yesterday it jumped to an M6, been hanging out at about an M4. So, we're in that little bit of bump. Something's going on. So, when we get that tapping, it's the way of our world saying, pay attention. There's something going on. Stay awake. Please don't go back to sleep. Stay awake and keep talking, keep exploring, keep expanding, right? And then when there's this M6, it's like a crack or a flash, kind of like one of these, right? Where it kind of comes in and you're like, whoa, what was that? Right? And it's where we are start to shed layers that we thought maybe, "Oh, I thought I was done with this. Maybe I'm not. Maybe there's just another deeper conversation to have to start to clear the air for me or for somebody else, right? So when this mirror happens, it's a gentle nudge that tower jolt is kind of going like, you're not done yet. Mm-mm. And so I'm wondering if you look at Pam Youngins, she's going to say that, or Pam Youngins has been tracking these M classes. And she's like, whoa, they're getting a little bigger. And we've gone from 0 to 1% of a solar X class solar flare to 5%. So it's sort of like maybe there's something nudging up, maybe there isn't. I don't know. So I'm going to switch over to Alexander Quinn. He's caught my attention. Sometimes he's an interesting guy. He brings in direct channeled pieces. So he gets these downloads, and then his job is to sort of translate them to us and explain them. I like the words he uses and the concepts he chooses. And I like how responsible he is with bringing this information forward. So he said something really beautiful in a conversation he had on an interview with Nicola Light. And if you go over to my Patreon, I posted that on there. He said, we know our minds, we know our bodies, yet we don't know our energy systems. And, there's a mind, body, spirit concept that happens in yoga and in like human life balance, right? But what if we changed spirit or we enhanced it more so that it is our energy system? So the question is where we're sitting today is that do you know your energy system, how it speaks, how it feels, how it guides? Um, how come how come it comes in bursts and it changes and we're getting to know this like internal monster just a little bit. In the Patreon conversation last Tuesday, we talked about fluid power. What happens when that burgeoning expansion of the divine feminineness is raw power, and it's this fluidity. And it can feel like you're being tossed around. It can feel like you are a victim of it. Like, well, what is this? All of this energy is coming into my body, or you can co-create with it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about energy systems and how we co-create with it. So in order to understand our energy system, we're going to look at it from the lens that I do as a tarot reader, which is the four elements, right? So first and foremost, there's fire. We have that spark, right? And that fire is spirit. And then it goes to water, which is our emotions, which happens. How is our nervous system and our body react to or not information, pulses, spontaneous pulses, right? And then it goes to the mind, which is air, which is how does it translate and conduct through our system, our nervous system, right? And then how does it go into our physical body and embody? So if we use these four principles, now I understand that there are five, if we put ether in there. And for the sake of this, I'm just going to stick with the sort of tarot four elements right now, and understand that I'm not neglecting those. I'm just sticking to this format for the sake of this video. Make sense? Okay, so if this is a symphony of these four elements that are playing within us, and this spark of lightning that happens, then what it does is it works with our inner technologies. Okay, so our pineal gland is our multidimensional receiver. The way that our pineal gland, and I like this one better. This is what happens when our mind is activated and downloaded. But this is what it looks like when our pineal gland is open and working, right? Okay, so our pineal gland is a receiver, right? Our clairs are our sensory translators. That's interesting. That's our sensory translators. What do I taste, feel? What parts of my gathering information, what category can I put it in, and how does it work? And our nervous system is the conduit for that energy. And our gut is the wise integrator that tells us what is true. So our gut intelligence ends up being super powerful. And when we can access our gut intelligence and stay balanced, which means we brought the fire through our body all the way down into our gut, it tells us what is true and what works for us and what doesn't. It's a beautiful process. So when the system is clean and when it's coherent, you become an antenna for truth. You become the receptor of information and truth. And in some ways, you also are in balance with information that comes in from above. Kind of makes sense, right? And when it's congested or life feels static, it can be distorted or reactive. And that's what we are feeling this week is our distortions are coming to the surface, our emotional reactivity, our love, our protectedness, all of those pieces are in this activation sensation that's going on right now, right? So Nicola Light, she's interesting. I haven't really listened to anything before of hers. She's got a very quiet voice. I like the way she presents information. And she said, that there's certain things you can count on when we get these downloads or these plasma in bursts or these actual physically constructed uploads or downloads into our energy system. And she says that what we're doing is learning how to read ourselves, our plasma, our resonance, our multidimensional circulatory system, in how it interacts. And when our clairs are coming online, right? They're coming online now, and they're stronger and they're sharper. And it can feel like a metamorphosis, like hourly and daily. It's like, wow, I can smell things I haven't smelled before. I know things I didn't know before. And for me personally, in some of these beautifully tough and opening conversations with family, what I'm noticing is that my clairs were helping me stay present. helping me stay out of reactivity, helped me stay out of sensitivity that didn't work for me and kept holding me in love. It's very interesting. And what I also noticed was that our claircodence is just online and joining in all of this awakening. So we're reading codes within words, within numbers, within digital currents, and watching the environment and what's coming through in the music in the background when you're working on one of these things. Like everything starts to talk to you all at once. It's how we sense the hidden harmonics below what we see and hear. So these hidden harmonics, this symphony, the way that all of our systems interact together is just beautiful when we start to recognize that they're all interweaving, right? So um, let's go back to Nicola, because what she talked about is that there are parts of our bodies that react differently when we get downloads. And so she talked very specifically about a download that was very truth oriented and very, very sort of like front and in your face. And she said, when those truth downloads came in, they come in at the back of your neck, they come in at the back of your jaw, they come in through your teeth, through your sinuses. They come in through your throat chakra. And I was noticing that those are some symptoms, especially in the last week. It was like, what is going on with my sinuses? They feel dusty. They feel like something's happening, but I'm eating clean foods. I haven't been exposed to anybody with colds. I'm trying to figure this out. And I was like, oh, thank you, Nicola. That makes a lot more sense, right? Um, she said that we're used to seeing these as illnesses or as disease or decline in the human body, but now we understand them as signals of recalibration. That it's the body integrating consciousness faster than the mind can name. And she also talked about what happens when a huge download comes in and it's trying to figure out how to fit into our energy system that has confines of body, of circulatory systems, of heartbeats, and that there are parts of us that kind of have a hard time when these downloads come, which is exhausting. So, I'm here to say, when these happen, we're not breaking down, we're not sick, we're not getting sick. We're becoming luminous from the inside out. We're having these downloads come in, or these skill sets that are very different than what we've known before. So when these clairs, when these downloads, when these pieces of information, I think Alexander Quinn used the example in the Matrix where there was a chance or a conflict that needed battling skills. And Neo was like, download, what was it? Tai Chi or karate or this or that. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it. But then it's like, and all of a sudden you are a full on warrior. This is what these downloads can be like. And I thought that was a really good example. It's like sometimes there's things that are coming up that are very new and different, and they're going to take some time, right? Because and they're going to bring up fear and they're going to bring up truth, like, whoa, did I just do that? What just happened? Or, whoa, this is really cool. Let's bring it on. So when we stop fighting our sensitivities and we take this kind of time to go, like, this is what's really going on. I need to rest. I need to rest. And I also need to sort of prepare when I'm going to step out, what I'm going to do with these new skill sets that I have. So we start trusting the design, right, of each day that we are in. So before I go on to the tips, I want to remind you that, first of all, I have 6 tips for you. And I want to remind you that the Patreon is fun. We had a really good time. There were 3 new numbers, 3 new members, and things are kind of growing. And what we're doing is we're moving past the daily symptoms. We're moving past, like, what is your life like, to what are your clairs noticing as a scout, as a collector of information. What can you bring in? What can you share with us? And then we start to compare those, and it's been really fun. So if that's something that's interesting to you, come join the Patreon. The link is down below. And if you want to get a hold of me to talk about any of this, there's a link down below as well. Okay, so 6 tips. Number 1, check in each morning. Before you touch your technology, before you get up and start going into the mindless day-to-day stuff that you have, in front of you, ask your body, "How am I? What's alive in me right now? What am I noticing?" Because then we can kind of begin to recognize that even in our sleep time, as we begin each day, there's a chance to sort of recalibrate. So for me, what I do is I move my wrists and my hands, and I sort of check in before I get out from underneath the covers. And when I put my feet on the ground, I roll my ankles around, and before I put my feet on the ground, I put my feet on the ground very intentionally, and I go, "We're awake, we're here. I wonder what today's going to be like." So you check in each morning, right? Number 2, you track your solar sensitivity, right? Note the energy spikes. Of course, I'm constantly looking at the notifications I get from spaceweather.com, from Pam Youngins, from Stefan. Uh, what's his last name? Can't remember. And I'm checking on what's the earth doing, what's the sun doing, what can I anticipate as far as bursts coming towards me, right? And then I start to look for patterns. Sometimes I can feel something way before they come. Sometimes I'm feeling something completely separate, or sometimes I'm having a correlated reaction. So you want to track those in your solar sensitivity. Number 3, definitely hydrate with intention. We know this. Water is a conductor for plasma and light. So drink it slowly and build your awareness and be very intentional. If you can structure your water, if you can bless your water before you drink it, even better, right? Number 4, move gently. 5 minutes of stretching, of swaying, of dancing, sort of rhythmic. I'm really lucky. I have 2 6-month-old grandchildren from 2 different daughters. So I got to spend a couple of days with one baby on my hip, just talking, and they're both teething. So they're kind of miserable. And then I got to spend the other, all like yesterday with the other baby, just sort of rocking and humming. And I think humming for me is something that keeps me in my body, and it also with some gentle movement. So even when I'm in the kitchen or when I'm overwhelmed, you'll see me do the mama sway back and forth, right? And what it does is it shifts our frequency back into our body. Makes sense. Number 5, discern the source. When sensations arise, pause and you go like, "Wow, is this mine? Is this the collective? Is this emotional? Has my mind, is it been an attempt to hijack my mind? Am I grabbing at things and going off in this way in reaction by design from some other external source?" So what you want to do is you want to find out where the source is, and is that yours, and what you can do about that. What I'm noticing is that there was a period of time where tracking things was really important to me, and now the tracking feels like I can see like the distaste or the little bit of toxic crap on top of the messages coming through, and I can tell that they're not clean. So it's really hard to find someone who I can actually feel my entire system go, "Okay, let's listen to what that person's saying right now," because there are elements of each of us sort of taking off those layers that keep us from the truth. It makes sense. So I have compassion for those that are trying, and distaste for those that know exactly what they're doing. That makes sense. All right, number 6, lead with compassion always, because especially when your energy system feels really raw, right? And you're feeling somebody else's reactivity. The idea is to stabilize your field, stabilize your nervous system, keep your feet on the ground, and keep opening with curiosity and love. It's a master frequency. And when we hold compassion with curiosity and love, we're unstoppable, right? So these are times of really big sensitivity and great awakening. It makes sense. And we're learning that energy awareness, the awareness of our own energy system, is not a luxury. It's the skill of the new human. And that's been the piece that I've been looking for, is like, how do I teach these new human skills in such a succinct and direct way? And I hope that this is the beginning of landing some pieces in a different way too. There's a little bit more clarity, even though I'm a lot slower in my talking. um, so as we close today, put your hand on your heart, put one on your belly, and you are energy and you are light and you are calm in this storm. That is you. So if you want a journal prompt, I'm going to give this to you here, and then I'm also going to write it down in the description. So the question is, what does my energy system need from me today? Not to fix or control it, but to listen, support, and trust its wisdom. What does it need? So I'll leave you with that, and I will see you next week, or I'll see you at Patreon. You take care. Bye-bye.